Chapter 1022. Su Yiyan smiled when she saw the message. Yeah, it just so happens that I'm on vacation these few days. I brought the baby back to see the elders. As soon as she said that, the screen was filled with messages begging the baby to appear on the screen. Su Yiyan smiled and had no intention of letting the child appear on screen. Fortunately, more viewers soon flooded in, and these messages were covered by new ones. The medicine packs that Su Yiyan had recommended in the broadcast room were selling very well recently. Of course, there were one or two people who followed the trend and ordered the medicine packs. However, Su Yiyan had already considered this point. Just like the Chinese herbs that were sold before, the packaging of these medicine packs clearly stated the main purpose and taboo groups. As long as people came to make trouble, they would ask for a medical report. If there was a problem with the right symptoms, they would pay. If they knew that they couldn't eat it, then they deserved it. They didn't care. As it turned out, Su Yiyan was very prescient. After that, there were indeed a few people who caused trouble after eating the medicine packs in the restaurant. In the end, they were in the wrong and had to pay for it. Not only did it not affect the reputation of the medicinal cuisine restaurant, but it also attracted more people's attention to the restaurant and the medicine packs. The sales did not decrease but increased. After the medicine packs became popular for a while, the people who wanted to buy them had already bought them. Today, the audience in the broadcast room was more curious about the new scar removal ointment in the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Streamer, can the new scar removal ointment in your restaurant really remove scars? Is it also made by the streamer with Chinese herbs? A few days ago, I accidentally fell and cut my chin. The doctor said that it will definitely leave a scar. Although it's not easy to see it on the chin, it's still ugly to have a scar on the face. Streamer, is your scar removal ointment useful for burning scars? I have a younger sister who accidentally burned her thigh and calf when she was boiling water when she was young. It's such a big scar that she doesn't dare to wear a skirt until now. Streamer. Su Yiyan looked at the screen full of questions and pondered for a moment. She deliberated for a while and made a conclusion. The scar removal ointment in the restaurant is indeed a private product of our restaurant. It can indeed remove scars. It's basically suitable for both big and small scars. It's just that small scars take effect faster and require more treatment. For large scars such as burns, it may take a longer time for the treatment to take effect compared to other scars. Apart from that, the new scars that were left behind recently took effect faster, because the skin texture was relatively more active. If it was an old scar, it would take a longer time to recover. You might have scars of the same size, but if someone else uses one bottle, you have to use 2 bottles. If someone else uses 1 month, you have to use 2 months. That's the specific difference. The inquiring audience members were all very excited when they received the confirmation. It was no wonder that they had doubts about the scar removal ointment. Most of the ointment purchased in Su Yiyan's shop were related to food. Think even those medicine packets had to be brought back and stewed with other ingredients to be eaten. Out of nowhere, a scar removal ointment appeared. Many people suspected that their streamer had begun to sell other people's goods like other internet celebrities. In addition, some anti-fans and competitors who sold scar removal and beauty products deliberately stirred things up and questioned the efficacy of this ointment. This caused this ointment to be on the shelves for 2 days with mediocre sales. It was not as popular as the previous ointment packs. Chapter 1023. Xiao Kai was a small streamer in the makeup section of Onlooker. Her ID was Kaikaizi. She would do makeup online and try out colors when she had nothing to do. Because of her delicate facial features and straightforward personality, she had attracted a lot of fans in the past 2 or 3 years, and became a famous streamer in the makeup section. The top girl in the gourmet section next door appeared out of nowhere and dominated almost all the recommendation banners on the website. Many streamers in other sections were hostile to her and envious of her. Xiao Kai didn't feel anything. First of all, the two of them were in different sections and didn't have too much direct conflict. Second, she actually liked to eat. However, they were both streamers and Su Yiyan was many times more popular than her. It was easy to be said that chasing stars with a main account would be easy for people to say that she was sticking to Su Yiyan. She only dared to open a side account and secretly stay in Su Yiyen's live broadcast room to be a humble audience who sent flowers every day. This stalemate finally had a subtle turn for the better after the scar removal ointment appeared in Su Yiyen's store. After the scar removal ointment was put up for sale in the medicinal cuisine restaurant and the official website, Xiao Kai immediately bought a few bottles and released a notice that she would do an open box trial after she got the ointment. As a result, the order was placed at noon and Xiao Kai received the finished product that night. She started the live broadcast as promised. Today, I'm bringing you the scar removal ointment that was recently put up for sale in the Carnival restaurant. I just bought it on the official website this morning, and it will arrive in the afternoon. First, I'll open the box for everyone to check the goods. After that, I'll do a trial run. As soon as Xiao Kai finished speaking, a few unfriendly comments appeared on the bullet screen. Carnival restaurant? A new beauty brand? I've never heard of it. Is the streamer casually looking for some unbranded products to promote in order to make money? Aren't you afraid that you'll ruin your reputation? I went to search around and only know that there's a restaurant called Carnival Restaurant that sells scar removal beauty products. This is the funniest joke I've heard this year. I thought that the streamer was different from the other streamers in the makeup section. She wouldn't make money as soon as she became popular. Now it seems that I was naive. Forget about the previous ones. After all, they were well-known brands with a good reputation. Now it's worse. She even pulled this unbranded brand that we don't know if it has quality assurance into the live broadcast room. She misled the fans to increase the sales of these unbranded products. Are you worthy of us, the fans who trusted you wholeheartedly? You really don't care about your face for the sake of money. I'm unsubscribing. Xiao Kai's face darkened when he saw these comments, but he didn't back down because of this. These so-called audience members who were clamoring to quit being fans were most likely opponents or haters pretending to be fans. When she first started live streaming, she had a glass heart. She wondered if she had really done something wrong to let down the people who liked her. Later on, after experiencing more, she realized that some people in this world hated you for no specific reason. They only hated you because they hated you. No matter how well you do or how hard you work, they can find thousands of reasons to deny your hard work and excellence. The best way to deal with such people was to ignore them and not even look at them. Xiao Kai calmed himself down and smiled faintly. This is the first time I've done such a time-sensitive evaluation. So please forgive me if I don't do well. Alright, let's not waste time. Let's open the chests. Xiao Kai said as she opened the box. There were 3 bottles of scar removal ointment in the box, each containing about 100 grams. Chapter 1024. There was a simple but elegant little box on the outside. After opening it, there was an exquisite glass bottle with a simple appearance. Only the words Carnival Restaurant could be vaguely seen. The ointment was a refreshing light green color. It was cold to the touch and quite comfortable. There were 2 scars on Xiao Kai's body. One was on her face. It was a pox mark that she couldn't help but scratch when she had acne as a child. There were 4 or 5 of them, distributed all over her face. They weren't particularly obvious. However, as a makeup streamer, she often had no makeup on during her live broadcasts. When the camera zoomed in, these marks were very obvious. In the beginning, it was still okay. Her face was a little blurry, and the audience was more tolerant. No one said anything about the pox marks on her face. They only paid attention to her makeup and the makeup products she used. When she became a little more popular, her popularity increased, and the number of viewers increased. All kinds of people began to flood into the live broadcast room. Gradually, people began to talk about the acne marks on her face. Some anti-fans even deliberately gave her a black nickname, Acne Girl Streamer. The other mark was on her arm. It was a long and deep cut from a relative's naughty child a few months ago. There was a lot of blood at the time, and Xiao Kai's parents were so scared that they almost fainted on the spot. Although she was sent to the hospital in time to save her life, an ugly scar was left on her arm. After that, the relative took a basket of fruits to the hospital. He was trying to excuse his son, saying that the child was naughty and that adults shouldn't be too calculative with him. However, Xiao Kai and Xiao Kai's parents were so angry that they fell out with that person on the spot. From then on, they never contacted each other again. It was said that not long ago, the naughty child was involved in another murder case. This time, it wasn't a small quarrel between relatives. The victim's family had some power and was determined to get to the bottom of it. Unfortunately, 2 days before the murder, the naughty child just happened to be an adult. The best outcome was that he would be imprisoned for 10 to 20 years. At the same time, his family would have to bear a huge amount of compensation. That family only had one child in 3 generations. How could they watch him be ruined like this? It was said that they had been running around to borrow money and ask for help. When Xiao Kai heard this, he was neither sad nor happy. While his anger had been vented, he also felt a little relieved. Fortunately, they had long since cut off all pretense of cordiality with this family. Whether they lived or died now, it had nothing to do with them. Back to the topic at hand. The scar on Xiao Kai's arm was less than a year old, and it was a light pink color. Compared to this scar, the acne marks on his face were brown and slightly sunken. It says on the outside box that old scars take effect more slowly than new scars, and big scars take effect more slowly than small scars. The scars on my face and hands are old and new, big and small. For the next half a month, I will be broadcasting on time every day. Babies, pay attention to the changes in my scars. As Xiao Kai spoke, she applied the scar removal ointment evenly on her arm. The ointment feels cool on the skin. After that, let's put on some makeup and see if the ointment has any allergic reactions to the skin. This was what most girls would do when trying on cosmetics, especially facial masks. First, they would use the ointment on their hands for a period of time. After making sure that there wouldn't be any allergic reactions, they would apply it to their face. During this process, the live broadcast room would occasionally have a few comments cursing her rotten face. Xiao Kai saw them but didn't care. Chapter 1025. After Su Yiyan advertised her store's scar removal ointment in the live stream room, she threw the matter to the back of her mind. About 3 or 4 days later, she suddenly received a call from the store telling her that all the scar removal ointment in the store had been sold out. Should she restock now or wait a little longer? Su Yiyan was a little surprised when she heard this. She had only put the ointment in the store to test the waters. In fact, there weren't many finished products produced. Another thing was that a few cosmetics companies might have realized that Su Yiyan had a tendency to develop into beauty products and felt a sense of crisis. They had hired several groups of ghostwriters to criticize her in advance. They had even begun to secretly slander some of the products that were selling well in her store. It wasn't that Su Yiyan didn't know about these things, but everyone's attention had been focused on what had happened to the Chung family recently. For the time being, she couldn't find the time to deal with these people. In the end, she hadn't even had the time to deal with these people yet. And the matter had already been resolved by itself? Su Yiyan was puzzled, so she simply logged into her account. The first thing she saw was a real-time hot topic tag that said, "God Scar Removal Ointment, you deserve it." When she clicked on it, she realized that a beauty blogger on their website had reviewed their scar removal ointment, and had even given a staged recovery. The most important thing was that after the blogger had used the scar removal ointment, not only had the scar really faded, but even her skin had improved a lot. Su Yiyan. My ointment has such an effect, and I didn't even know about it. Xiao Kai, who was doing the review, obviously didn't expect such a pleasant surprise. She endured the cynicism and ridicule of the ghostwriters and anti-fans for 3 days. And the small acne marks on her face had obvious changes. They had faded a lot. The scratches on her arms were more serious than the small acne marks, but if she compared them with the photos from the first day, she would see that the originally hideous scars had faded a lot. The color was also gradually getting closer to the color of the surrounding skin. When Xiao Kai realized that the scars on her hands and face had really changed, she was very happy. She felt that she hadn't been a fan of the wrong person, and she worked even harder to review the ointment. However, her initial focus was still on removing the scars, and she didn't think about other aspects. On the 8th morning of the review, Xiao Kai's mother casually asked, "Have you been staying up late less recently? My complexion looks much better, And my skin feels better too. Xiao Kai was also taken aback by her mother's words, and she reflexively touched her own face. She didn't know if it was just a figment of her imagination, but she couldn't help but feel that the skin on her face had improved a little. One had to know that because she had to work during the day and stream at night, she had to put on and remove her makeup every day until the latter half of the night. Naturally, her skin became rougher and rougher. When she didn't put on makeup, it looked fine from afar, but up close, it was a little bad. This was also one of the reasons why her anti-fans liked to criticize her. How could a beauty blogger become a beauty blogger if her skin wasn't good enough? At first, Xiao Kai didn't pay much attention to it. She thought that the acne marks on her face had faded, and her skin looked much better than before. A few days later, about a week after her first livestream, many viewers in Xiao Kai's livestream finally began to realize this. Discussions about her skin's sudden improvement also began to increase. There were even a few die-hard fans who worked together to compile screenshots of Xiao Kai's skin condition during her live broadcast this week. Chapter 1026. Originally, she didn't think much of it as she watched it day by day. However, now that she was suddenly compared to a week ago, even Xiao Kai herself realized that something was wrong. Her skin really did seem to have improved a lot. Others might not know, but Xiao Kai knew very well. Although she also used some skincare products, she only used a few all year round. She knew very well how effective they were. The only variable in this week's time was that bottle of scar removal ointment. This discovery surprised Xiao Kai. Seeing that more and more people in the live broadcast room were asking about it, she didn't hide it. She told everyone about her guess in front of the many viewers in the live broadcast room. As expected, Su Yiyan's store's scar removal ointment, which didn't sell very well, was completely sold out. It wasn't like there weren't any paid posters in Xiao Kai's live broadcast room. They mocked Xiao Kai for falsely advertising a product that had no reputation and no safety guarantee. However, the changes she had experienced over the past week were real. The comparison photos compiled by her fans were also real. Facts spoke louder than words. Moreover, for some people, the temptation of becoming more beautiful was greater than anything else. Even if some makeup companies had the foresight to use explosion-proof products, it still didn't stop these people from giving Su Yiyan money. Su Yiyan glanced at the beautiful streamer in the video who was trying her best to promote her company's scar removal ointment, and praised her company's ointment, as if it was the best in the world. For a moment, she even suspected that this was a new trick that the other company had come up with to flatter their shop. In the end, what really dispelled Su Yiyan's doubts was the feedback sent by Lian Nam. Long before the Carnival restaurant put the ointment on sale, Su Yiyan had sent a copy to Lian Nam. However, Lian Nam's burns were quite serious. The scars on Xiao Kai's body paled in comparison. Relatively speaking, the ointment took longer to take effect. When Su Yiyan received a call from the Li family, the first thing she heard was a woman crying. "Is this Miss Su?" Su Yiyan was taken aback by her attitude. After a few seconds of silence, she said, "I am. May I ask who you are?" "Hello, Miss Su. I'm Nan's mother." "So it's Mrs. Li." Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows. "Mrs. Li suddenly called me. Did something happen to Miss Li? Is it because the ointment I sent over didn't work?" No. The ointment Miss Su sent is useful, very useful." As Mrs. Li spoke, she began to sob. She couldn't come up with a reason for a long time. Su Yiyan was also confused. Since it worked, what was there to cry about? Could it be that Miss Li's mother didn't want her daughter to recover soon and live a normal life? Before Su Yiyan could think further, the person on the other end of the phone had already changed. "Miss Su." Su Yiyan immediately recognized Lian Nam's voice. "Yes. My mother was a little emotional just now. I hope she didn't offend you." "Miss Li is too polite. It's not an offense. However, Mrs. Su and Miss Su suddenly called me. What's the matter?" "Actually, it's not a big deal. I've used the ointment Miss Su sent over. The effect is better than expected. Thank you very much. Also, I've decided to follow Miss Su's previous suggestion and undergo plastic surgery. After the surgery, I'll need Miss Su's help. And Nan will be very grateful." Chapter 1027. Su Yiyan immediately understood. No wonder Mrs. Su was so excited that she was about to cry. This girl had finally thought things through and was willing to undergo the surgery. Miss Li, I'm glad you've thought things through. I'll do my best. Before this, when Su Yiyan said this, Lian Nam would only think that she was deliberately evading the responsibility. She was deliberately vague and left some leeway for those who couldn't cure her, but couldn't bear to part with her family's compensation. However, after seeing the effects of the ointment and seeing the obvious fading of the scars, Lian Nam's heart, which had been dead for a long time, finally gave birth to a glimmer of hope. Maybe she really could have a chance to change her appearance and stand in front of everyone with a new attitude and continue her former dream. Su Yiyan and Lian Nam exchanged a few more words and decided on a time to meet again before hanging up the phone. Gold would always shine. Because of Xiao Kai's promotion, the scar removal ointment in the medicinal cuisine restaurant was out of stock for a while before it was back on the shelves. At this time, the first batch of customers also posted their real feedback. In an instant, the restaurant's name once again swept through various public circles of friends. The restaurant specialized in managing public accounts. Usually, other than the time to draw numbers, the waitresses were basically free. Inevitably, they were bombarded by countless customers who wanted to buy the scar removal ointment. Even some of the more famous actors in the industry came over and secretly used their status to help the waitresses prepare the next batch of ointment that had not yet been put on the shelves. One had to know that actors, especially those who filmed period dramas, had to be strong and oppressive. Even the martial arts actors who personally filmed the action scenes had scars on their bodies. It would be fine if the scars were in places that couldn't be seen, but if the scars were on the face, then it would be a big problem. Now that there was a ready-made scar removal ointment, people, regardless of whether they had scars on their bodies or not, wanted to at least stock up on a few bottles. Those with scars could be removed, and those without scars could even be beautified. There were many people who had such thoughts. This also led to a period of time where the supply of this ointment could not meet the demand. Regardless of whether they were rushing to buy or making reservations, all of them acted as if they owned a mine and threw money at Su Yiyan's shop. Cheng Juanhao still had shares in this store. Originally, because of the malicious report this time, although it was clarified that he had been slandered and that the company was innocent, because those unscrupulous media outlets had received money to beat the rhythm, there were still some people who were led by the nose. Before the truth was found out, they had already made some boycotts. It still caused some losses to the company that were hard to make up for, and Cheng Juanhao was in a terrible fix. He was vexed about whether he should give up his old face and borrow some money from his relatives. Now that the money was in place, everything could be discussed. Cheng Juanhao no longer had to worry about whether or not to borrow money, and how to borrow money. The company could also be revived. Cheng Juanhao felt relieved. He looked at his niece more kindly, as if he was looking at a gold mine that was about to jump into his pocket. Su Yiyan. Don't stare at me like that, it's scary. Everything that had happened in the Cheng family was frightening but not dangerous. At the same time, there were two other pieces of good news. One was that the evidence that Hua Chenhuan had asked Yu Zian and the others to retrieve from the research institute had been recovered. With this evidence, not only could they wash away the dirty water that had been poured on Master Cheng, but they could also send the person who had made the false accusation directly to jail. Besides this, the other piece of good news was that the matter that Su Yiyan had asked Cheng Juanhao and the others to investigate had taken shape. Chapter 1028. Just as she had expected, Cheng Juanhao had something to do with this incident. There was indeed a mole in Cheng Juanhao's company. However, Cheng Fengling did not manage to enter the company and become a senior executive, so he could only contact a limited number of senior executives. The mole he found was just a team leader of a department in the company. He could not get in touch with the core of the company, and it was impossible for him to fabricate a series of false evidence to implicate Cheng Juanhao's company like in her previous life. What really surprised Su Yiyan and the others was that Cheng Juanhao was not the only person behind this. There was another person, an old acquaintance. Song Yinyuan? How could it be her? When everyone heard Su Yiyan's words, They suddenly looked up. Yan Yan, do you know her? Su Yiyan subconsciously turned to look at Hua Chenhuan. Hua Chenhuan was also surprised to hear this name. He was silent for a while before he said in a deep voice, "She is the daughter of the Song family." The Song family? Which Song family? Su Yiyan knew that he was embarrassed to say it, so he snorted and explained on his behalf. What Song family? Just say that she used to be your suitor. What? When the elders present heard this, their eyes swept over Hua Chenhuan like searchlights. It was as if they wanted to poke him into a sieve on the spot. Hua Chenhuan felt a lot of pressure under the stares of the elders. He braced himself and said, "She used to be my suitor. I don't like her, and I've never been nice to her. Yan Yan can testify to this." Cheng Xiuqin raised his eyebrows and looked at his daughter. Really? Really? She pestered Chen Huan before the incident with his family, and wanted to marry him. Later, Chen Huan's legs had problems, and something happened to his family Hua. She ran away faster than anyone else and moved the whole family abroad. Su Yuxuan narrowed her eyes and instantly caught the loophole in her sister's words. Since you pestered him before the accident, and you didn't know him at that time, how did you know this? This? Su Yiyan turned her head and cast a helpless look at her man. Hua Chenhuan sighed and said truthfully, "This woman came back a year ago. When Yan Yan was pregnant, she posted some specious things to sow discord between us." As soon as Hua Chenhuan said this, everyone's expression changed again. It hadn't been long since Hua Chenhuan's legs had recovered, but this Miss Song had run away faster than a rabbit when he was in trouble. She had even moved her whole family overseas. It was obvious that she didn't plan to come back unless it was necessary. However, the truth was that she had come back a year ago after Hua Chenhuan's legs had recovered. She had even secretly schemed against the pregnant woman, and stirred up trouble, when she was emotionally unstable to sow discord between them. It could be said that Miss Song's intentions were clear to everyone. Why haven't I heard you mention this before? Su Yiyan touched her nose guiltily. It's not a big deal. I didn't take it to heart at that time. After Chen Huan found out, he immediately dealt with her, so I didn't mention it. Dealt with her? How did you deal with her? I asked someone to find out where she lived. I directly had someone tie her up, put her on a plane and sent her abroad. As soon as Hua Chenhuan said this, the way they looked at him changed again. They were no longer as cold as before. Instead, there was a hint of complexity in their eyes. It seemed that they didn't expect Hua Chenhuan to do this. Tying her up on a plane and sending her back was simply too violent. However, when they thought about how this person had tried to destroy Su Yiyan's family, they couldn't help but say, "Well done." Chapter 1029. When Hua Chenhuan saw that their expressions had calmed down a little, she knew that she had escaped a disaster. She breathed a sigh of relief without a trace. When she turned her head, she met Su Yiyan's half-smiling eyes. She felt helpless and amused at the same time. When I sent her abroad, I asked someone to pass her a message. She didn't remember it at all and still dared to come back. When Su Yuxuan heard Hua Chenhuan's words, she snorted coldly. She's shameless enough to come back and beg for forgiveness. What else is there that she doesn't dare to do? However, there's something that I need to tell you guys so that you can be mentally prepared. Su Yiyan and Hua Chenhuan looked at each other and asked in confusion, "What is it?" According to our investigation, the reason why Miss Song was able to return to the country and get involved in this matter was because she borrowed the connections of one of her relatives. Relative? Hua Chenhuan's expression changed slightly. Could it be? When Su Yiyan heard this, she knew that he must know something. She looked at him questioningly. Hua Chenhuan didn't hide it. It should be Aunt Song. Aunt Song? Su Yiyan was shocked. Although Aunt Song's surname was also Song, she had never thought that she would have any relationship with Miss Song. She's a relative of Miss Song? Yes. But they are not related by blood. Hua Chenhuan paused and said thoughtfully, "The Song family has always been powerful. Just like the reason why Song Yunyuan had taken a fancy to Hua Chenhuan, other than his looks, was mainly because he was the young master of the family Hua and the future heir. She wanted to use the marriage with the family Hua to soar into the sky. Aunt Song's father insisted on marrying an ordinary girl, so he broke off contact with the Song family. When Song Yunyuan pestered me, my parents and Aunt Song had not contacted each other for a long time. But I don't know where they found out that Auntie Song knew my parents, so they went to Auntie Song's house to harass her. They asked her to contact my mother and put in a good word for Song Yunyuan, so that she could marry me. Su Yiyan was shocked. She didn't expect there to be such a story behind it. Then Aunt Song. How could Aunt Song not know what kind of people in the Song family? Not only she didn't say anything good about Song Yunyuan to my mother, but she also told my mother everything about her relationship with the Song family. Then she moved out with Uncle Luo. Pfft. Su Yiyan could not help but laugh out loud when she heard that. Is the Song family a scourge? They actually forced Auntie Song to move. When Hua Chenhuan saw her smile, he could not help but smile a little more. Isn't he a scourge? When she doesn't need you, she doesn't even look at you. But when she needs you, she immediately pesters you. She's scarier than a vampire. Aunt Song can't be provoked, but can't she avoid her? What happened after that? What else can happen after that? My parents originally had a good impression of Song Yunyuan. They didn't like her that much. They just felt that it was strange for a girl to take the initiative to pursue me. At that time, I had already told my parents that I didn't like her. Their family made such a scene, so my parents gave up on any thoughts they had. Su Yiyan and the others sighed when they heard this. This was considered a double loss, right? Chapter 1030. Then how could she use Auntie Song's connections to do these things? Hua Chenhuan narrowed her eyes and sneered. I think it's possible that she's behind Auntie Song's back. Auntie Song might not know. But whether she knows or not, we still have to inform her about this. Su Yiyan didn't have any objections to this. She had a good impression of Luo Baoging and his wife, and knew that their family didn't have a good relationship with Song Yunyuan's family. She also felt that it was more likely that they didn't know about this. Su Yuxuan heard the gist of it from the side, and said with anger and amusement, after all this time, these two people behind the scenes, one is your rotten peach blossom, and the other is your husband's rotten peach blossom. These two rotten peach blossoms are still together? Are they trying to break you up and then divide the spoils? Hua Chenhuan and Su Yiyan. What do you mean by dividing the spoils? Not only the two parties involved, but everyone else was also shocked by his words. The room suddenly became quiet, and then someone couldn't help but laugh. The others finally reacted and laughed one by one. Su Yiyan and Su Yiyan looked at each other helplessly, but they couldn't refute. That night, Hua Chenhuan took the initiative to call Luo Baoging and his wife, and told them about this matter. After hearing the whole story, the two were really surprised, especially Song Linghua, who was really angry. I knew that she wouldn't come back for anything good this time. Song Yunyuan's return to the country had been on her side. Although Song Linghua didn't like this family, she was still an elder. If she was too calculative with the younger generation, people would think that she was petty. Therefore, she didn't care too much about Song Yunyuan's return. As long as she didn't cause any trouble for her, she would turn a blind eye and pretend that she didn't have this strange relative. Who would have thought that even though she wanted to ignore this junior actually did all he could to harm her family behind her back. He even almost caused her and her husband to lose their chastity in their later years. Huan Little Su. This is indeed our negligence. I didn't expect. Su Yiyan could hear the guilt in Song Linghua's words. I know you and Director Luo's character. Otherwise, I wouldn't have called you as soon as I found out about this. I just wanted to let you know the whole story, and avoid any unnecessary misunderstandings in the future. That's true. Song Linghua couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. A few days ago he had just put down his pride and asked Su Yiyan to treat the Li family's granddaughter. How long had it been since then? His own relative had backstabbed Su Yiyan's mother's family. When Song Linghua and his wife thought of this, they felt ashamed. They said apologetically, although I didn't know about this, she did it under our name. We have let you and your grandfather's family down. Auntie Song, please don't say that. That's one thing. Since this matter has nothing to do with you. Every injustice has its perpetrator and every debt has its debtor. How can I let you take the blame for others? I'm calling you today mainly because I want to understand the specific situation. Everyone knows what's going on. Secondly, I also wanted to ask why she did such a thing. UN Director Luo. Chapter 1031. When Song Linghua said this, it could be considered as a clear statement of her position. Su Yiyan let out a long sigh and smiled faintly. Since Auntie Song has said so, I'm relieved. She simply expressed her position on this matter. Song Linghua hesitated for a moment, but she couldn't help but ask. Now that this matter has become like this, Su Yiyan knew what she wanted to ask, so she didn't hide it. This matter isn't a big deal, but it's not a small one either. Maliciously forging evidence to slander my uncle's company for tax evasion is not a big deal. Bribing dangerous people who stole confidential information to slander the elders is not a small crime. To put it bluntly, someone had to investigate this matter. If they didn't investigate, it would be a case of a false report. However, if they really investigated, there would be evidence. In serious terms, they could even treat Song Yunyuan and Song Linghua as spies who deliberately came back from abroad to cause social unrest. Su Yiyan had specially called to inform her in advance. Naturally, she couldn't just let the matter rest. Even if Song Yunyuan could survive, she probably wouldn't be able to leave that cage for the rest of her life. Song Linghua was silent for a long time before she exhaled faintly. Forget it. People have to pay the price for their greed. Since I've made my choice, it has nothing to do with others. The corners of Su Yiyan's lips curled up slightly, and she kindly reminded Song Linghua. Auntie Song is very righteous, but some people might not be. Song Yunyuan is in trouble in China. Her family. I'm afraid they will find trouble with you. You and Director Luo have to be mentally prepared. Some people are shameless and don't care whether you are relatives or not. They are even fiercer than enemies. When Song Linghua heard Su Yiyan's words, her face sank. She probably remembered this family's strange actions back then. So be it. Do you think I'm afraid of them? It just so happens that I still have some debts to settle with them. I'll take this opportunity to settle them properly. Otherwise, when they all die abroad in the future, these things will become a mess and have to be settled underground. It's good that you know what to do. Cheng Juanhao and the others acted quickly. Song Yunyuan and Cheng Fengling were quickly subdued. When the two of them were arrested, they were still in a hotel, secretly plotting how to convict the Cheng family, so that Su Yiyan would have no one to rely on. When they rushed in, the smiles on their faces froze on their faces before they even had time to restrain themselves. Cheng Fenglong's parents had been busy living apart and getting a divorce. After learning that their son had been arrested because of the Cheng family's matter, they had come to his house a few times to make trouble. Fortunately, Cheng Juanhao was prepared for this. No matter how Cheng Fenglong's parents cried, made a fuss, and threatened to hang themselves, he did not allow them to enter the house and took them away. Not long after, he heard that Cheng Fenglong's talkative mother had suddenly been diagnosed with liver cancer. Cheng Fenglong's father couldn't afford to pay for her treatment. The two of them, who had already shed all pretense of cordiality, quarreled even more loudly every day. They could not even protect themselves, so they did not have the energy to care about their son who was destined to never come back. On the third day of Cheng Fenglong's arrest, the police suddenly sent news that Cheng Fengling wanted to see Su Yiyan one last time. Coincidentally, at the same time, Song Yunyuan also sent a message saying that she wanted to see Hu Chenhuan one last time. When Su Yiyan heard about this, she immediately remembered what her elder brother had said that day. She chuckled and said, "Birds of a feather flock together. These two people's brain circuits are the same. No wonder they can be together." Chapter 1032. Hu Chenhuan's face sank. "Do you want to go? If you don't want to, we won't go." It was just a last-ditch struggle. It didn't matter whether they met or not. "No, I want to go." Su Yiyan turned her head and looked at her man's disapproving expression. She smiled and said, "Let's go and listen to what these two weirdos have to say. At the same time, we can make these two jealous people angry." Hu Chenhuan immediately guessed Su Yiyan's plan. A trace of helplessness and indulgence flashed through her eyes. Okay. The meeting time was arranged in the afternoon. Considering that these two people might be locked up in the same place in the future, in order to let them get used to it as soon as possible and to save time, Hu Chenhuan simply asked the people over there to arrange for the two people to meet in 2 rooms next to each other. Song Yunyuan and Cheng Fengling looked at each other across the prison cell. Their faces were a little dark, but they also knew that they had no way out now. If they really made a scene here, they might not even be able to see the person they wanted to see for the last time. When Su Yiyan and Cheng Fengling came in, Song Yunyuan and Cheng Fengling were arguing with each other. When they heard the sound, the room suddenly became quiet. Song Yunyuan was the first to react. She stood up and rushed to the front. She held the pillar on the side of the cell tightly. Through the gap, she stared at Hu Chenhuan with blazing eyes. "You're here." Hu Chenhuan frowned slightly. Disgust flashed through her eyes. Then she quickly withdrew her gaze and focused on Su Yiyan. The impatience and coldness between her eyebrows melted in an instant, leaving only a strong warmth and love. This obvious contrast in Song Yunyuan's eyes was tantamount to a sharp knife that ruthlessly pierced her heart. It pierced her self-righteousness and self-confidence. "You shameless bitch thief." Song Yunyuan's face became ferocious and distorted. His eyes were bloodshot as if he wanted to swallow Su Yiyan alive and tear him into pieces. "Thief." Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows and found it funny. "What makes you think I'm a thief? What did I steal? Am I a man's heart?" Su Yiyan said as she touched her man's chest like a rogue. "Then I'm really sorry. My man's heart is in my hands from the beginning to the end. It only belongs to me. There's no need to waste any effort to steal it. Only those pitiful creatures who wanted something but couldn't get it would think about other people's things every day and end up with nothing. Serves him right." "You." "Nonsense." Song Yunyuan was already irritated by the intimacy between the two. Now that she heard Su Yiyan's words, she was even more furious. He likes me, he likes me." Su Yiyan chuckled, her eyes full of mockery. "Are you a roundworm in his stomach? Whether he likes you or not, how would you know? Or did he do something to make you misunderstand that he likes you? If that's really the case, now that we're here, I don't mind you bringing up some old and rotten accounts. Tell me, why does he like you?" Song Yunyuan's affectionate expression suddenly froze. Although she made a solemn vow, she really couldn't say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After all, whether it was in the past or now, Hu Chenhuan seemed to be avoiding her like the plague, not to mention treating her well. She thought about the last time she returned to the country happily, and finally found an opportunity to secretly sow discord between Su Yiyan and his wife. Chapter 1033. However, as soon as it started, Hu Chenhuan sent someone to pack them up and send them on the plane. Song Yunyuan was full of confidence when she came back, but she was humiliated when she was sent back. She didn't believe that Hu Chenhuan would treat her like this. It must be that this woman knew the truth and secretly drove her away behind his back. Yes, it must be like this. Song Yunyuan looked at Su Yiyan with increasingly cold and resentful eyes. "Chenhuan, don't be fooled by this woman. She is a shameless b*tch. Do you know that she sent people to catch me behind your back and force me to leave? She even threatened me that if I dared to come back to you, she would kill me and my family. Don't be fooled by how gentle and considerate she pretends to be in front of you. In fact, she is a vicious b*tch. Are you done scolding? What?" Song Yunyuan looked at Hu Chenhuan, whose face was covered with frost, and whose eyes were so cold that it seemed to pierce through her. She couldn't help but shiver and suddenly had an ominous premonition. "It seems that you haven't learned your lesson from what happened before. You didn't take the warning I asked Xian to give you to heart at all. You." Hu Chenhuan's words were tantamount to admitting that everything that happened before was his doing. Taking a step back, even if it wasn't an order from his mouth, it must have been approved by him. Song Yunyuan's eyes narrowed. She was hit hard. She couldn't accept that Hu Chenhuan really didn't have any feelings for her. Just like how Hu Chenhuan had rejected her countless times in the past, she was the one who pestered him and refused to let go. In the end, when Hu Chenhuan was in trouble, she ran away faster than anyone else. After knowing that his legs had recovered, Song Yunyuan spontaneously beautified everything that had happened in the past. Hua Chenhuan also had feelings for her. It was only because she had left and hurt his heart that he retreated and settled for the next best thing, which allowed another woman to take advantage of him. As long as she appeared again and awakened Hua Chenhuan's former love for her, the inferior substitute would be rejected by him sooner or later. At that time, Hua Chenhuan would definitely divorce and marry her. She would still be the legitimate Mrs. Hua. It's you, isn't it? It's you who deliberately spoke ill of me in front of Chenhuan and ruined his impression of me. You shameless B*TH. You won't shed tears until you see the coffin. Su Yiyan really thought that this woman was sick in the head. You're a dog skin plaster who worships the powerful and tramples on the weak. You run away when you encounter trouble, and once you find out that there's something to gain, you try every means to stick to me. What gave you the confidence to make you think that your image in Chenhuan's eyes is so pure and unattainable? Song Yunyuan's face was livid. She opened her mouth and wanted to refute. Su Yiyan didn't intend to give her a chance at all. The person in question is right here. Do you want to ask him if he ever had any feelings for you? No. As soon as Su Yiyan's voice fell, the person in question denied it without thinking. I only loved you, in the past, now, and in the future. I don't like anyone else except you. Hua Chenhuan's ruthless words suddenly made the not harmonious atmosphere suffocate. Su Yiyan was the first to react. Looking at Song Yunyuan's pale face, she felt an indescribable relief. Do you understand? Song Yunyuan was like a sick cat whose tail had been stepped on. She opened her mouth with a ferocious expression and was about to curse, but was interrupted by Hua Chenhuan. Chapter 1034. Keep scolding. If you scold my wife, I'll send one of your relatives to accompany you. You've just scolded me 4 times. Within a month, I'll send 4 of your relatives to reunite with you. Don't worry, I won't let you wait long. Hua Chenhuan's words were light as if they were just a joke. But as long as one looked at his expression and the way he stared at Song Yunyuan at the moment, no one would think that he was joking. Song Yunyuan met his gaze and felt a chill run down her spine. It made her limbs cold and she couldn't help but want to shiver. No, you can't. Hua Chenhuan glanced at her, as if he was looking at an insignificant ant. No, I can. Song Yunyuan's body trembled. At this moment, she realized that maybe she shouldn't have come back in the first place. She shouldn't have thought that this man would be soft-hearted and change for her. She thought too highly of herself. Su Yiyan saw the change in Song Yunyuan's expression, and didn't have any sympathy in her heart. She dared to seduce her husband so blatantly in front of her. Who knew what she was thinking about her husband behind his back? Thinking of this, Su Yiyan couldn't help but feel disgusted. Sometimes, it wasn't a good thing to have many suitors. Especially suitors like this who were self-righteous and regarded the person they liked as their possession without the slightest respect. It was a big trouble that couldn't be gotten rid of. In this regard, Cheng Fenglang was quite similar to her. Just as she was thinking about this, Cheng Fenglang, who had been watching this farce coldly from the side, finally couldn't hold back and shouted with a sad expression, Yin Yan. Mr. Cheng, we don't know each other well. The expression on Cheng Fenglang's face suddenly froze. Song Yunyuan next door sneered, as if she was mocking Cheng Fenglang for thinking too much. She was having a hard time, and so was Cheng Fenglang. They were all in the same boat, and no one needed to discuss the other. Cheng Fenglang's IQ was still a little higher than Song Yunyuan's. The expression on his face only stiffened for a moment, before he quickly adjusted. He frowned and said, Is there any misunderstanding between us? Uncle, weren't you the one who reported the company? How could I? Su Yiyan interrupted his explanation. Grandpa has been slandered for taking kickbacks and stealing the research results of his staff. Do you dare to say that you have nothing to do with it? Cheng Juanhao looked into Su Yiyan's eyes. His heart trembled slightly, and a trace of guilt flashed across his eyes. However, he understood that he couldn't admit to this because once he did, he would be doomed eternally. I don't understand what you're talking about. I've heard about what happened between my uncle and the old man. In my heart, I also hope that these things aren't true. It's just that my parents have been in a lot of trouble recently, and I can't take care of myself. That's why I haven't taken the time to care about my uncle and the old man. You can't think that this matter has something to do with me just because of this, or even that I'm behind it. What good can I do if something happens to the old man and uncle? It's true that there's nothing good for you if something happens to your grandfather and uncle. However, there's a kind of person in this world who, even if it's not beneficial to himself, still likes to harm others. It's just for his vanity that has nowhere to go. Yin, Cheng Fengling frowned and wanted to explain, but he was interrupted by Su Yiyan again. Why do you think you're here? Do you think I'll tell you this without definite evidence? Do you think the police will arrest people without definite evidence? Chapter 1035. Cheng Fenglong's face turned from green to white, from white to green, changing unpredictably. Su Yiyan was too lazy to continue talking to him. If Cheng Fengling was like Song Yunyuan, crying and making a fuss, she would be in the mood to play with him. But now he knew that the things he had done had been exposed, but he was still stubborn and trying to get himself out of this matter. He really thought they were fools. If you tried so hard to see me just to say these words, then you're done. Now that you've said it, I'm too lazy to listen to the rest. That's it, let's go. As Su Yiyan spoke, she pulled Hu Chenhuan and was about to walk out. Seeing this, Cheng Fengling could no longer care about anything else. Wait. Is there anything else? Cheng Fengling looked at Su Yiyan's slightly mocking eyes, gritted his teeth, and asked tentatively, You know all about it? Know what? Su Yiyan turned around and looked directly into his eyes. She said with a faint smile, I know that you're the one behind the scenes. You bribed the employees of my uncle's company and maliciously reported my uncle's company and my grandfather, in order to destroy them and get to the top. Or do you know that more than 90% of the reason you did all this is because you like me, and you want to take revenge on my uncle and my grandfather, so that I have no one to rely on and can only rely on you? You already know. Cheng Fengling looked at Su Yiyan with a burning gaze that had never been seen before. It was as if she had opened the window paper and destroyed some kind of imprisonment that had originally restrained him. Yin, I like you. I've liked you for a long time. You don't know how much I like you and how long I've liked you. We're not related by blood at all, so why did they have to stop me? They even refused to let me see you a few more times. As soon as they knew my feelings for you, they sent me abroad regardless of anything, so that I could never see you again. They deserve to die. Anyone who stops me from being with you deserves to die. As long as they are dead, no one will be able to stop us. As long as they are dead, you can be with me. You will belong to me alone. At this moment, Cheng Fengling finally revealed his crazy side. He knew very well that once his deeds were exposed, Su Yiyan would not let him go. The Cheng family would not let him go either. Since that was the case, there was no need for him to hide the shameful thoughts that he had been hiding all these years. Hu Chenhuan's face was as black as the bottom of a pot when he heard this man's naked confession, and his almost crazy desire to monopolize his wife. Just as he was about to make a move, he was stopped by Su Yiyan. So what? What? So what if they stop you? Su Yiyan looked up at Cheng Fengling and said in an unprecedentedly cold tone, You were wrong from the beginning. You like me, but I don't like you. It has nothing to do with whether we are related by blood or not. Even if they don't send you abroad, I can't be with you. Cheng Fengling was shocked, and his always gentle and calm face became distorted and ferocious. Then who do you like? Him. Cheng Fengling pointed at Hu Chenhuan, gnashed his teeth and growled. How can I not compare with him? I can give you whatever he can give you. As long as you are willing. I don't mind that you married him and had a child with him. As long as you are willing. I am willing to give you anything. Chapter 1036. Cheng Fengling said and even stretched his hand out of the fence, as if he wanted to pull Su Yiyan. What do you love about him? Money? Don't tell me you like him. When you married him, he was just a cripple that no one wanted. Su Yiyan hated it the most when people talked about Hu Chenhuan's crippled legs. Cheng Fenglong's words could be said to have accurately poked her Achilles heel. With a bang. All the fire in her stomach was ignited. You really don't believe me. I just like him. Whether he is well or crippled, I like him. The fact is, in my heart, you are not even comparable to a cripple. No, in my heart, you can't even compare to a single hair of his. You don't deserve to be compared to him. Money. Do you think I care about your stinky money? Let me tell you, when I got married, the dowry my parents gave me, and the betrothal gift my husband gave me, can make you struggle less for hundreds of years. You can't compare to him, your ability is not good, and you don't earn as much money as others. Who gave you the courage to vow that you can compare to him? Is it this cellmate next to you? Pfft. With just a few words, Su Yian had managed to diss both of them at the same time. Hua Chenhuan couldn't help but laugh on the spot. The depression in his heart disappeared without a trace. Although he regretted that he couldn't show his masculinity in front of his wife's protective appearance really made him love her to the bone. Cheng Fengling was directly refuted by her words. After a while he reacted. His lips trembled slightly and he said, "This is the real reason why you married him? I was wrong about you. My mother was right. You are the same as those vain women." Su Yiyan narrowed her eyes. She intuitively felt that she couldn't understand these brain-dead people whose brain circuits were in a dead knot. Hua Chenhuan didn't want to hear anything bad about Su Yiyan from other people's mouths. She sneered. "Yes, I spent all my savings to beg Yan to be with me and marry me." Cheng Fenglong's expression changed slightly. Song Yunyuan subconsciously tightened her grip on the pillar. Her eyes were filled with jealousy and hatred. "She is worth it. I was willing to. I got what I loved all my life. I got what I wanted the most. If you can't get it, it only means that you're incompetent and unworthy. From the moment you laid your hands on Yan's family and tried to hurt them, you had already lost the right to like her." Hua Chenhuan looked at Cheng Fengling with a cold gaze, as if he was looking at a dead man. "You even said that you didn't mind that she had been married to me and had given birth to my child. From your words, I can tell that you despise her. You just treat Yan as an object, a possession that you like and think is infallible. You don't know how to respect her at all. The so-called love that you can give her is just the material that you can give her. With such little ability, what right do you have to say that Yan is vain? Let's go. Don't talk to them." Su Yiyan glanced at the two unconvinced people. She only felt that it was a mistake to come today. What a waste of time. "I already regret coming." Su Yiyan said that she wanted to leave. Hua Chenhuan naturally had no reason to refuse. She immediately took Su Yiyan's hand and led her out, leaving the two losers staring at each other and mocking each other. "This is your so-called white moonlight. Look at her. Does she care about you? You're asking for humiliation." Chapter 1037. Cheng Fenglong's face darkened, and he sneered back. "Is this your so-called childhood sweetheart? You're young and affectionate. I'm afraid she doesn't even remember your name, right? I feel ashamed for you." The two losers couldn't get any benefits from Su Yiyan and Cheng Fengling, so they had to turn to attack their allies around them. In the rest of their short and long lives, they had to fight with each other. Su Yiyan came out with Hua Chenhuan. She was still angry and looked like she wanted to hit someone. Hua Chenhuan was a little angry, but he calmed down when he saw her like this. He bent his lips and said with a faint smile, "Didn't you say you wanted to come? Why are you being so awkward now?" "I regret it." Su Yiyan snorted and said unhappily, "I wanted to come here and make these people angry. Who would have thought that they were so weird? They made themselves angry first." Hua Chenhuan knew what she was angry about. He comforted her softly. "It's okay. Anyway, we won't see them again." Su Yiyan was silent for a moment and asked tentatively, "How long will they be locked up like this?" Hua Chenhuan didn't answer her immediately. Instead he asked, "How long do you want them to be locked up?" "Of course, I want them to be locked up as long as they can. Don't let them out to harm people again." "As you wish." Su Yiyan looked up at him in confusion, but she didn't ask more. Cheng Fenglong's matter was quite big. The Cheng family couldn't hide it, and they didn't want to help their family hide it. Although Chung Juanhao's company was founded by himself, he was helped by some relatives and friends who had a good relationship with him. Chung Juanhao was not a person who would kill a donkey after it had outlived its usefulness. After the company grew stronger, he paid back most of the people who had helped him. Those who had a certain ability worked in the company. Those who had limited talent in this area could not take on heavy responsibilities. According to the original investment, they could get dividends every year. Chung Fenglong's original intention was to destroy Chung Juanhao's company and the Chung family. But strictly speaking, didn't he also touch the cake of many relatives and friends? The people who originally had a good relationship with their family quickly turned against them after learning about this matter. They sharpened their knives to teach them a lesson, but found that Chung Fenglang had already been captured. Chung Fenglong's mother had liver cancer and had a falling out with Chung Fenglong's father. She had no money for treatment and was struggling to survive in the hospital. Of course, Chung Fenglong's father was not much better. Perhaps because of the chaos in his family, he was also in a bad mood. He went out to get drunk alone, and in the end he went crazy outside and bumped into or almost molested a pregnant woman. She was so scared that she almost had a miscarriage. When the pregnant woman's husband found out, he naturally couldn't take it lying down. He directly beat Chung Fenglong's father and sent him to the hospital. The worst thing was that the man had been too heavy-handed. He had kicked Chung Fenglong's father's body so hard that he was basically crippled. When Chung Fenglong's father woke up and learned of this bad news, he almost couldn't catch his breath, and went to see his old father who had passed away. His eldest son was crippled. Not to mention that there was an 80% to 90% chance that he would not be able to get out of prison in the future. Even if he did, there was basically no hope. His wife had become like this. He originally wanted to divorce her or simply kill her, marry another one, and try to have another child. Now there was no hope at all. Chapter 1038. After Chung Fenglong's father woke up again, he stared blankly at the snow-white ceiling in the ward for a long time. He thought of the time when Chung Juanhao and his wife had no children. Every time his wife encountered something unpleasant, she would drag them out to vent her anger. She would sarcastically mock their family for doing too many bad things, and that they deserved to die without descendants. Although he didn't agree, he was secretly happy. He felt that even if he couldn't compare with her, at least he had a son. But now other people's lives were getting better and better, and he was the one who died without descendants. Perhaps this was retribution. The Chung family's company and old Master Cheng's affairs were dealt with quickly. Because of Song Yunyuan and Chung Fenglong's arrangement, a large number of media outlets initially came to stir up trouble, causing old Master Chung and Chung Juanhao's company to be attacked by some poor people who hated the rich for a few days. Later, when the Chung family presented evidence, many people who had been particularly aggressive before chose to shut down their microphones. A small number of people chose to apologize, and an even smaller number of people were unwilling to admit that they had done anything wrong. They were paranoid and believed that this was a conspiracy. However, because the hammer was too hard, this small number of people didn't make any waves. Su Yiyan and Hua Chenhuan stayed at the Chung family's house until everything was settled. As soon as they got home, they found that Ling Xiaoqi was already waiting for them at home. "Are you okay? Is everything okay at home? I only found out about your grandfather's family a few days ago. I don't know how you guys are doing, so I can only worry." "It's okay. It's all settled." Ling Xiaoqi breathed a sigh of relief and whispered, "That's good." Su Yiyan saw that she looked a little haggard. Since she already knew about her family's situation a few days ago, there was no reason for her not to contact her, unless... Did something happen to you these past few days? Did you encounter any difficulties? Ling Xiaoqi froze for a moment, and her eyes began to wander. "No, nothing." Su Yiyan saw her guilty look and became more and more sure of her guess. She frowned and said, "If it's nothing, why don't you dare to look at me? Raise your head and look into my eyes. Tell me, did anything happen to you these past few days?" Ling Xiaoqi's expression stiffened. She knew that she couldn't hide it from Su Yiyan, so she had to tell the truth. "I did run into some trouble, but it's over now." "What trouble?" Su Yiyan's mind flashed. "Is it related to that man?" Ling Xiaoqi's expression changed slightly, and Su Yiyan knew that he had guessed correctly. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and there was a hint of murderous intent. From the looks of it, she had been too gentle in dealing with them previously. This family actually dared to make trouble for Ling Xiaoqi. They really had evil intentions. He came to find you again? Ling Xiaoqi shook her head. It's not him. It's another man. Another man? Who is it? Yin Yin, do you still remember that I told you before that I found a job at Qian Group? You also said that the general manager of that company, his style wasn't good, and told me not to go. Su Yiyan was startled. After realizing the meaning of Ling Xiaoqi's words, his face turned completely black. You mean, the general manager of Qian Group came to find you? What did he want from you? Did he do anything bad to you? Ling Xiaoqi recalled what had happened these past few days, and her expression became a little angry. She said angrily he wanted to, but unfortunately he didn't have the chance. Chapter 1039. It turned out that since half a month ago, Ling Xiaoqi had been bumping into a strange man at various times and places. At first, Ling Xiaoqi did not pay much attention to him. After all, he was just a stranger whom she did not have much interaction with. It was normal for her to have no impression of him. However, after that, the frequent coincidental encounters at various times and places made Ling Xiaoqi feel that something was wrong. Not to mention that a few days ago, the man was no longer satisfied with the coincidental encounters, and could not help but take the initiative to strike up a conversation with her. Although Ling Xiaoqi was a little slow at the beginning, she was not stupid. How could she not tell that this man was up to no good after such incidents happened a few times? As a single person who had a boyfriend, Ling Xiaoqi immediately told Ning Siyuan about it when she felt that something was wrong. Ning Siyuan took it seriously the moment he heard it. Not to mention whether or not this man really liked Ling Xiaoqi, and wanted to steal her away and make her his cuckold. A man who was always in front of a girl, and even took the initiative to strike up a conversation with her must have an ulterior motive. Whether it was for money, sex, or anything else, Ling Xiaoqi would definitely not have an easy time with such a man. If something were to happen to her, who would compensate him with such a grown-up wife? Ning Siyuan made a prompt decision, and assigned a few bodyguards to protect Ling Xiaoqi 24/7, so that she would not have any chance of being left alone. Apart from that, he also specially got someone to investigate who this bastard who dared to mess with the Almighty was. He didn't expect that he would find something that was intriguing. He came to me because of that man, Su Yiyan frowned. What do you mean? Their company's chairman and that man are friends. He happened to overhear the conversation between their chairman and that man and knew that I was that man. Ling Xiaoqi paused when she said this. Obviously, she was very reluctant to admit this. He knew that I was that man's only bloodline in this world and heard that he was going to pass the company to me, so he had some ulterior motives. I want to hurry before that man takes me back. Ling Xiaoqi didn't finish her words, but Su Yiyan immediately guessed the general manager's Huahua plan. He wants to seduce you before you are recognized, win your heart in advance, and marry into your family after you are recognized? Yeah. Su Yiyan was angry and disgusted. She sneered and said, this man's appetite is really not small. Ling Xiaoqi also felt disgusted, but she was more disgusted and confused. What do you think he thinks? You should at least have some professional integrity before trying to seduce someone. You should do your homework first. I already have a boyfriend, yet you're still trying to get close to me. Are you trying to be a third party? You're underestimating some people's moral integrity. So what if he's a third party? As long as he can get inexhaustible wealth and become the best of the best, even if he is asked to kill and set fire, he will do it. Being a third party is not even an appetizer for them. Believe it or not, if you really inherit that man's family property, as long as you wave your hand, many people will be willing to be your third, fourth, or fifth party. Ling Xiaoqi was disgusted by Su Yiyan's assumption. She shook her head quickly and said, I don't want any third party, fourth party, or fifth party. One boyfriend is enough. I can't handle more than one, and I don't want that man's stinky money. I'm disgusted with his things. You think so, but others don't think so. Chapter 1040. The man who hit on you has been married for a long time. His wife is the daughter of a director of Jian Group. Ling Xiaoqi was a little surprised. Ning Siyuan didn't tell her about this. Then why is he still? I guess he's not a particularly well-behaved person. He's bent on climbing up and unwilling to be under others. However, his father-in-law is just a small director of Jian Group. He's not even the chairman. And the chairman of their company is friends with that man. They're of the same generation. It can be seen that the man's status is higher than his father-in-law's. People want to climb up. He wants to climb up. The fastest shortcut is to hook up with a woman who is better than his current wife and can bring him a bright future. That person is you. Ling Xiaoqi's face darkened. Obviously, she was very disgusted and dissatisfied that she had inexplicably become a tool for others to climb up. Have you ever heard of this saying? When a person acts like himself, he or she will assume that others are the same as him or her, and will naturally project his or her thoughts onto others. In his opinion, you're a poor girl with no money, power, and no one to rely on. You must want to get the warmth of a family. You must love money as much as he does. You want to soar into the sky and become a rich second generation that everyone envies. You have no reason to refuse such a good thing. Ling Xiaoqi curled her lips. But I really will refuse, so he's destined to be disappointed. Su Yiyan glanced at her and deliberately teased her. Even if you don't refuse, you can't fall in love with someone else. You can't leave eldest young Master Ning, who has such potential, and blindly fall in love with such a thing? Ling Xiaoqi was stunned. After realizing that Su Yiyan deliberately teased her, she glared at her angrily. Then she seemed to think of something and asked tentatively, Yan Yan, did you already know that Jian Group has something to do with that man? In fact, when Ning Siyuan investigated the man's background and told her the ins and outs of the matter, Ling Xiaoqi already had a trace of suspicion in her heart. When she had just returned from abroad, she had interviewed for several companies before deciding to go to Jian Group, which had better conditions in all aspects. But in the end, before she could apply for a job, she was forced into Dongqing by Su Yiyan. At that time, she didn't think much about it. She only thought that Su Yiyan was worried that she would be bullied in other companies and wanted her to enter her company. Now that she thought about it, she felt that Su Yiyan, when she heard that she was going to Jian Group, it was as if she already knew that she would be at a disadvantage. At that time, she only thought that Su Yiyan was worried that she would be harassed by that man and suffer from the unspoken rules of the business world. Now, she felt that Su Yiyan might have already known that she would be involved with that man when she joined that company. When the time comes, she would inevitably be at a disadvantage because of the contract. Su Yiyan saw that she had found out, and did not continue to hide it. She sighed and asked carefully, "Are you angry?" "I'm not angry. I just hope that you can tell me the next time something like this happens. After all, I'm the person involved. I know you're doing it for my own good, but it's a little uncomfortable to be kept in the dark about such things. Also, I'm an adult. Don't treat me like a child and a fragile thing. Although I hate that man, he's really not that important in my heart." Chapter 1041. While Ling Xiaoqi was talking, Su Yiyan had been carefully observing her expression. When he was sure that she didn't force herself to talk about that man, he heaved a sigh of relief. He knew that she had finally let it go. Yes. You've grown up. You're no longer a child. How can a child fall in love with someone? I was thinking too much. I didn't tell you before because I was worried that you'd do something stupid on impulse. You're just a girl after all. Those people have money and power, and they'll do anything to achieve their goals. Who knows what kind of despicable things they'll do? It's different now. Someone has someone to protect her. She's confident and doesn't need me to worry about her. That's good. Ling Xiaoqi was stunned for a long time before she realized that Su Yiyan was making fun of her. Her face flushed red, but she didn't refute him. Ning Siyuan had indeed helped her a lot this time. Su Yiyan was laughing, but he was still thinking about business. Since you already know the twists and turns of this, what are you going to do? The key to this matter wasn't the man who had tried to seduce her, but Ling Xiaoqi's cheap father, who still wanted to bring her back to acknowledge her ancestors and become a puppet. This person had appeared before, but Su Yiyan had used some tricks to chase him back to his original position. He couldn't even take care of himself and wouldn't have the chance to find trouble with Ling Xiaoqi. However, this wasn't a long-term plan. If he wanted to solve this once and for all, he had to think of another way. Actually, Siyuan has discussed this with me. What did he say? He said that if I'm willing, he can help me destroy their family and take over their business under his name. Then what? Ling Xiaoqi avoided Su Yiyan's gaze and said embarrassedly, "Then give it to me as a betrothal gift." Betrothal gift? Su Yiyan felt that he had been shown off. He said with a subtle expression, "So he's going to propose to you?" Ling Xiaoqi was stunned. For a moment she didn't know how to answer. Su Yiyan didn't continue on the topic of the couple. He only asked tentatively, "What do you think?" Ling Xiaoqi pursed her lips. After a long silence she said, "Actually, I don't really want it." "No, you have to. You have to. Yin Yan." Ling Xiaoqi looked at Su Yiyan in surprise and confusion. "That's his love for you. And it's what you deserve." Su Yiyan held Ling Xiaoqi's hand and said earnestly, "You have to understand that letting that man take you home, force you to be his daughter, and then force you to marry the son-in-law he likes and give birth to an heir with his blood to inherit his family property is completely different from your boyfriend buying his family property and giving it to you as a betrothal gift. The former means forcing, coercion, bullying, and oppression. The initiative is in the hands of others, and you are the one who is controlled. The latter means that the initiative is in your hands. As long as you're willing, no one can force you. As long as you want, you can even make those who you don't like and who have let you and Auntie Ling down pay the price." Ling Xiaoqi narrowed her eyes. "You mean? Why did that man let your mother down? Wasn't it because he thought he was extraordinary and couldn't bear to give up his wealth and status? He was a scum in human skin. Without these things, do you think he can still live a decent life?" Chapter 1042. Ling Xiaoqi lowered her eyes slightly and still didn't speak. Su Yiyan could tell that she was wavering. He smiled faintly and said, "Auntie Ling, and you have suffered so much because of this man. You even had to bear some bad names because of him. I don't believe that you don't hate him at all. This is a good opportunity. You don't have to trouble Ning Siyuan with this. He's your boyfriend. It's only right for him to protect you. Moreover, this isn't difficult for him." Ling Xiaoqi's cheap father had some family connections, but those family connections were really not enough in front of the Ning and Qi families. If Ning Siyuan really wanted to mess with him, it was only a matter of time before his family's company fell into Ling Xiaoqi's hands. Being kind to your enemy is being cruel to yourself. Ling Xiaoqi nodded seriously. "I understand. I'll consider it seriously. By the way, when you ask Ning Siyuan to keep an eye on that man, don't forget to keep an eye on his wife. A person who has nothing is more dangerous than an uncivilized beast when he goes crazy." With Su Yiyan's reminder, Ling Xiaoqi finally remembered that the man had a wife who had a marriage alliance with him. That wife even gave birth to a son for him. However, the son died in an accident, and he couldn't have another child. That was why he thought of her. Although Ling Xiaoqi didn't have a child yet, she put herself in his shoes. If her husband couldn't wait to pick up another woman's child and come back to snatch her child's things when her child had just died in an accident, she would probably go crazy on the spot. Ling Xiaoqi hadn't met Qin Fengda's first wife, so she didn't know what kind of person she was. However, while one shouldn't have the intention to harm others, one should still be wary of others. I'll mention this to him. Su Yiyan wasn't particularly close to Ning Siyuan, but Su Yiyan thought highly of his ability and how much he cared about Ling Xiaoqi. Therefore, he didn't pay much attention to this matter after that. On the third day after Su Yiyan's family returned, the Li family hurriedly came looking for them. Along with them were Song Linghua and his wife. Strictly speaking, although Song Yunyuan's matter had nothing to do with the two elders, it was more or less because Song Yunyuan used their names to intimidate others. The two elders still felt a subtle sense of guilt towards Su Yiyan. When they heard that the Li family was coming to visit Su Yiyan, they hurriedly followed along, and even brought along a large pile of gifts. Su Yiyan had just come down from upstairs when he heard the announcement. He was shocked by the group of people. "It's good that you're here. Why did you bring so many things?" "These are gifts from my family to thank you." Lian Nam's limbs were still tightly wrapped like before, but there was an additional cap on his head and a mask on his face. Although it was still tightly covered, at least he was willing to reveal his skin except for his facial features. It was a big improvement. This time, besides Grandpa and Grandma Li, Lian Nam's parents also came along with Lian Nam. Mother Li was a very elegant middle-aged woman. Perhaps because of her daughter's misfortune, she faintly exuded a melancholy aura. However, when she heard her daughter's words, the expression on her face suddenly became more lively. She smiled faintly and said, "Nan Nan is right. I heard from my family that Miss Su's scar removal ointment is very effective." Nan Nan previously. Chapter 1043. When Mother Li said this, she subconsciously glanced at her daughter. Her eyes were slightly red, but she quickly stabilized her emotions and revealed a hint of obvious joy in her eyes. "She is now willing to communicate with us and cooperate with the treatment. This is something we didn't dare to imagine before. This is all thanks to Miss Su. You are our family's benefactor. I hope you can accept this small token of appreciation. In the future, please take care of Nan Nan." Frankly speaking, when the two elders wanted to bring Lian Nam over, the couple was opposed to it. In the past few years, they had sought out countless well-known doctors for Lian Nam. They didn't think that a young man in his early 20s could really help them solve their problem. Who knew if bringing a child over would cause harm to her again? But who would have thought that it was this young man, whom they didn't have any hope for at the beginning, who helped their disheartened daughter take that crucial step forward? "You flatter me. I just did what I could. The focus is still on Miss Li. If she is not willing, no one can force her." That was true. But if it wasn't for Su Yiyan's scar removal ointment that gave Lian Nam hope of recovery, how could she walk out of this dead end and pull herself together again? Mother Li was very grateful to Su Yiyan, but she could tell that Su Yiyan didn't like to take on jobs, so she didn't continue to flatter her. She just hid this gratitude in her heart. Su Yiyan said a few words to Mother Li, then turned her attention to Song Linghua and her husband. "Auntie Song, you are again." Song Linghua and Luo Baoging looked at each other and said awkwardly, "You must have suffered a lot this time. This is a little token of our appreciation to help you calm down." "You are too polite." Su Yiyan's eyes flashed. She knew what the two were referring to, but she didn't expose them. She smiled faintly and asked, "Auntie Song, how have you been? Did you encounter any troubles?" Of course there were troubles. Just as Su Yiyan had predicted, Song Yunyuan was arrested. Her family would definitely seek help from Song Linghua, a relative in China. Song Linghua didn't know how these people had the audacity to order her around. Anyway, she didn't spoil them. He directly told them that he couldn't help, and neither could Luo Baoging. At the same time, he also provoked them and admitted that all of this was Song Yunyuan's own doing. He deserved to end up like this. If they were smart, they would treat it as if they didn't have this daughter in the future. They would live their lives honestly and not engage in those crooked practices. Perhaps they could still live the rest of their lives well. Otherwise, once these words were spoken, the consequences could be imagined. Song Yunyuan's parents cursed over the phone. Song Linghua couldn't be bothered to be long-winded with them. She simply hung up and blocked them, strangling all of their curses in the cradle. However, to be able to raise a daughter like Song Yunyuan, her parents weren't easy to deal with. Even though Song Linghua blocked them, they still had ways to harass them. However, this situation didn't last long. Hua Chenhuan kept her word. She said that she would send Song Yunyuan's relatives to accompany her, so she sent them in. The Song family had no power to fight back. After losing several talents, they finally understood that Song Linghua's warning was not groundless. They chose to admit defeat before all the members of the family fell, returning their family's peace. It's okay. It's all settled. Chapter 1044. Su Yiyan was just asking casually. She wasn't very interested in the Song family's affairs. She quickly turned her attention to the young man beside Lian Nam, who looked strangely familiar. Today, other than Lian Nam's grandfather and grandmother, who had been here once before, her parents were also here. Other than them, there was this young man who had a subtle expression and looked at her from time to time. This is. When Su Yiyan took the initiative to ask, Mrs. Li and the others hurriedly introduced him. This is my nephew, my sister's child. He and his sister grew up together and have always been very close. Today, when he heard that we were coming, he insisted on coming to see us. Mrs. Li said as she waved at the young man. Jihong, say hello to Miss Su. Jihong. Su Yiyan was stunned. In Jihong? Wen Jingping's newly hooked up with a capable young actor? It can't be such a coincidence. In Jihong was a little surprised when he heard Su Yiyan call out his full name. He frowned slightly. You know me? Su Yiyan didn't expect that the person she helped treat for Song Linghua's sake would be In Jihong's cousin. Was this a coincidence? You're an actor and insider. I have an entertainment company under my management. Isn't it normal to know you? Hearing this, the Li family also remembered Su Yiyan's identity. They knew that she wasn't only Hua Chenhuan's wife, but also ran an entertainment company that was part of her dowry. She had many well-known male and female artists under her management. Song Linghua and Luo Baoging had worked with her in this area, so they reconnected with her and her family Hua. If Miss Su didn't mention it, I would have forgotten. Jihong, didn't you always praise that Red Dancer was especially good? That drama was invested in by Miss Su's company, and your grandpa Luo personally directed it. After Hai Yi's Empress failed both in terms of viewership ratings and reputation, Dongcheng's Hongling could be said to be the complete opposite. Even in the later stages of the broadcast, the ratings still did not decrease. Instead, there was a trend of increasing. One had to know that many TV series nowadays had strong starts and weak ends. The first 10 or so episodes would attract the audience's attention first, but the last 10 or so episodes would start to crazily pour in. This made many viewers who only wanted to watch the characters' ending feel as if a fishbone was stuck in their throats. It was tasteless to eat, but it was a pity to abandon it. He could only vent his dissatisfaction by getting low ratings. Naturally, the ratings of the series dropped. As for Red Brave, due to its high performance throughout the entire process, there was not a single drop in the plot even in the middle and later stages of the production. It was deeply loved by the audience, and in just 1 or 2 months, it had already become the most popular drama series of the year. Unsurprisingly, Dongqing Entertainment, the biggest investor, became the biggest winner of this explosive production. With this drama alone, they earned back more than half of their investment last year. It was a solid start for Su Yiyan's IP project. In Jihong had indeed praised the show before, and even tried his best to recommend it to his relatives and friends. Not to mention other things, many people in the Li family had been led into the pit by him. However, in the past month after he joined the cast, his family had been watching the show happily. As the person who had first recommended the show to them, he had become less and less talkative about it. No one thought much about it. They just thought that In Jihong was busy with filming and had no time to watch the show. Naturally, he would not discuss the plot with them. However, it seemed that this was not the case. Chapter 1045. In Jihong's mind went blank for a moment when he heard his aunt mention dancing in red. Even his expression froze for a moment. Mother Li did not think much of it when she saw him like this. She thought that he was surprised to find out that the show he liked was produced by someone he knew, so he could not react in time. On the other hand, Su Yiyan subconsciously paid more attention to him when she found out that the young man in front of her was In Jihong. Seeing him like this, for some reason, she suddenly remembered the words that Xia Junxing had said to her before. He had said that In Jihong had a strict upbringing, and that he was a lofty person who abhorred evil. Because of this, he had not been friendly with Wen Jingping at first. Later, when Wen Jingping and Ding Juexi's scandal was exposed, In Jihong, who should have been estranged from Wen Jingping, suddenly became very close to her. He had unknowingly protected Wen Jingping as if he had been possessed. Possessed? Su Yiyan's eyes turned cold. Ever since Ding Juexi's scandal was exposed, her Goldfinger progress had been stuck at 75 and had not moved at all. Was the last 25 on the person in front of her or on Do Tianyi? Countless thoughts flashed through Su Yiyan's mind, but she did not show it on her face. She smiled and said, "Mr. Yin, you've watched Dancing in Red. I heard that there was some trouble in a show that Mr. Yin has been filming recently. It's quite troublesome. Has it been resolved?" When everyone heard her words, their gazes all drifted towards Yin Jihong. "Jihong, something happened to your production team? Why didn't you mention it? Is it serious? Do you need help?" Yin Jihong's expression was subtle. He was silent for a while before he said, "It's nothing serious. It's been resolved." After he said that, he suddenly changed the topic and said, "Miss Su seems to be very interested in our production team." Su Yiyan could tell that he was testing her. She smiled and said, "That's not it. I'm a gossipy person and I like to watch the fun. Usually, when I have nothing to do, I like to eat melons and watch dramas online. This free drama is my favorite. How can I miss it?" Yin Jihong did not expect Su Yiyan to say that, and his body stiffened uncontrollably. The people present were all shrewd people. At this point, how could they not see the subtle atmosphere between the two? Mrs. Li and the others looked at each other. They didn't know if there was any contact or conflict between the two of them. Luo Baoging and his wife were equally puzzled. However, they were industry insiders and knew a little more than the Li family. Recalling Su Yiyan's words, Luo Baoging had a guess. Jihong has also been busy filming recently. Which production team did he join? Luo Baoging was an elder and a senior in the circle. Naturally, Yin Jihong had to answer his question. He whispered the name of a drama. As soon as Luo Baoging heard the name, his eyebrows twitched. He knew that his guess was not far from the truth. "So it's this drama. It did cause a lot of trouble some time ago. I didn't expect the male lead to be you. What a pity." Luo Baoging whispered in riddles. Not only did he not solve the Li family's confusion, but he also aroused their curiosity. What's wrong with this drama? Is there something wrong with the director? Or is there something wrong with the actors in the crew? As Mrs. Li spoke, she suddenly looked at Yin Jihong and asked, "Jihong, are you hiding something from us?" Chapter 1046. Yin Jihong's brows furrowed slightly. Under the probing gazes of his relatives, he didn't know what to say. Actually, it's nothing much. There are so many people in a drama, so there's bound to be a few weirdos. It's fine as long as it's settled. Luo Baoging knew the twists and turns in this matter. He also knew that it wasn't good to discuss this topic in front of the people involved, so he ended the topic and gave Grandpa Li a look. Grandpa Li instantly understood and pulled back his wife, who was about to continue asking. He smiled faintly and said, "Old Luo is right. How can everything go smoothly at work? It's fine as long as it's settled. Today we're here to thank Miss Su and confirm Nan Nan's treatment with Miss Su. Business is more important." Since Grandpa Li had said so, Grandma Li naturally couldn't say anything. When Yin Jihong heard Luo Baoging's vague derogatory evaluation, he subconsciously wanted to refute Wen Jingping. However, when the words were about to come out of his mouth, he unexpectedly met Su Yiyan's gaze. His mind went blank again. He didn't know why, but the words that were about to come out of his mouth couldn't come out. Su Yiyan saw Yin Jihong's conflicted and confused expression. She only felt that it was even more out of place. She looked at Yin Jihong with a more probing gaze. "System, is there any way to investigate the reason why Yin Jihong's attitude towards Wen Jingping was different? Isn't Wen Jingping's female lead halo already very weak? How can it still make these people lose their intelligence? Is there something that you and I don't know about? Does the host suspect that Wen Jingping used some unspeakable methods on Yin Jihong?" Su Yiyan was silent for a moment, then probed. "Can you find out? The host can scan the past experience and memory of a potential threat to confirm whether or not he has been corrupted by the female lead halo." Su Yiyan was shocked. The system actually had such a function. She thought that the system's skill points were all in Chinese medicine. Before she could finish being happy, she heard the system add another sentence. As long as the host pays the corresponding favorability points. Oh. She knew that this lousy system wasn't easy to talk to. How much? 1 million favorability points. Su Yiyan was stunned for a moment. He opened his mouth, but before he could react to this inexplicably huge number, he heard the system faintly spit out 2 more words. Once. When did you learn to speak so slowly? The system won't breathe, thank you. Su Yiyan. I'm actually speechless, so angry. 1 million favorable impression points each time? Are you trying to rob me? Previously, the one-time use good luck halo that she exchanged for only cost 1,000 favorability points. Although it was a little expensive to upgrade it, the seeds that she unlocked were basically worth a few thousand each. Even if it was more expensive, it wouldn't be more than a few tens of thousands. He had only scanned it once, and it actually cost 1 million. Su Yiyan felt that he had the word sucker hanging over his head, and that he could be ripped off at any time. I suspect that you're raising the price on the spot. I want to lodge a complaint. The system has yet to activate the complaint function. The choice is in your hands. If you don't accept this price, you can also choose not to make the exchange. The hidden meaning was, take it or leave it, there's no way to lower the price. Hearing the system's stiff reply, Su Yiyan glanced at the remaining favorability points. She gritted her teeth and made the decision, exchange. Although with Su Yiyan's current situation, 1 million favorability points could actually be earned by opening another live broadcast. But when she heard the system's notification, Su Yiyan couldn't help but feel a little heartache. She felt that she had been cheated. Chapter 1047. The only thing that could comfort her was that this one-time scan function was worth the money. After deducting all the affection points, the system dutifully turned on the virtual camera and scanned Yin Jihong from top to bottom, inside and out. With this sweep, he really did manage to find some things. Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows. What's wrong? What did you find? This person has traces of using a system item. System item? Su Yiyan was startled and her expression changed greatly. You mean there are traces of using a system item on his body? Someone gave it to him? Wen Jingping? If that was the case, then everything made sense. Before this, Yin Jihong's attitude towards Wen Jingping was neither hot nor cold, even somewhat repulsive. However, after her scandal, not only did Yin Jihong's impression of her not worsen, he even protected her under his wings. This kind of behavior was undoubtedly contrary to his personality. However, if he had the support of a system item, then it was understandable. Even someone as calm as Su Yiyan could not help but change her expression when she realized this. So Wen Jingping's body is very likely to have a system similar to yours. From a certain point of view, that is correct. However, there should be some differences. Differences? How are they different? Perhaps they both need to complete missions to level up. The system in the hands of the world's female lead can directly exchange for a tool to manipulate people's hearts. This system can only provide a certain amount of technical assistance to the host. In other words, Wen Jingping's system could earn the same amount of affection points as Su Yiyan's system by completing missions. Then, she could use these affection points to exchange for a tool to manipulate people's hearts. She could manipulate the target to have a favorable impression of her, and use them to complete more missions and exchange for more tools, should I say, as expected of the world's female lead? The system was also different from other people's. This thing could be a virtuous cycle. She did not need to do anything but wait for the excellent supporting male leads to automatically come to her door and beg to give her resources. Realizing this, Su Yiyan was filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. She was even more resentful of the system's actions just now. From what you said, the system in her body seems to be even more advanced. The system was silent for a few seconds before faintly replying. System 001 is currently the most advanced system. Host, please do not attack the system personally. Otherwise, the system will take measures to defend itself and cut off part of the security system's technical support in the host's home. Su Yiyan. This is a threat, a threat. If Su Yiyan could be threatened by the system's words, then she would not be Su Yiyan. Listening to the system's exasperated rebuttal, the frustration from the massive hemorrhage had dissipated a little. Su Yiyan continued to provoke the system's rage points in a good mood. So you're saying you're the system to Wen Jingping, to the system. That is. Since that's the case, you should be able to swallow her system, right? The system choked. It did not expect Su Yiyan to have such thoughts about the system that suddenly appeared in Wen Jingping's body. You have to see it with your own eyes to be sure. Oh. When I heard you say it in such a dignified manner, I thought it wouldn't be difficult for you. System. Don't think I can't tell that you're mocking me. Chapter 1048. The system was enraged by Su Yiyan's words and shut up on the spot. Su Yiyan knew when to stop. She quickly turned her attention back to Wen Jingping. However, this is really strange. Since Wen Jingping has such a good thing on her, how could she have played such a good set of cards to such a state today? Although Su Yiyan was partly responsible for her current predicament, she was not completely innocent. However, if one were to dig deeper, they would find that most of what Su Yiyan did was just fighting back. She had fallen into this awkward situation largely because of herself. Or is it that her item is only effective on people who have come into contact with it in real life? It has no effect on people who have not come into contact with it on the internet? Hearing Su Yiyan's words, the system tried to hold back, but in the end it could not hold back. If the world's female lead has traces of the system on her body, the system will be able to find out if she is in a photo with the host. Su Yiyan was slightly stunned. You mean when I met Wen Jingping before, you did not notice that she had another system on her body? Could it be that her system is more advanced than yours, so much so that even you could not detect it? Impossible. The system's angry rebuttal successfully amused Su Yiyan. Since that is not the reason, there is only one possibility left. Wen Jingping's system only appeared after the last time they met. Su Yiyan was not sure about the exact time, but judging from the attitude of the men around Wen Jingping, it must have happened before she met Ding Juecy, or even before that. Miss Su? Miss Su? Su Yiyan was deep in thought because of the sudden discovery of a big secret. Her dazed expression was inevitably noticed by the Li family members who had been paying attention to her. Nothing. Su Yiyan seemed to have woken up from a dream. She did not continue to ask the system about the same system, and focused on Lian Nam. Has the surgery time been set? Yes, it will be in a week. Then during this period of time, use this ointment to fade away the scars except for the face. As for the rest, we'll wait until you're done with the surgery and see how well you're recovering. Then we'll see if there's a need to adjust the dosage of the medicine. The Li family had come here today just to hear Su Yiyan's words. Now that they had heard it, their hearts were much more at ease. They had originally come to express their gratitude, but seeing that it was almost time for dinner, they didn't want to disturb them any further. In addition, many of them had their own matters to attend to, so they didn't stay in the family hua for long. Estimating that it was about time, they got up and bid farewell. Su Yiyan was busy trying to figure out what was going on with the system, so she didn't ask them to stay. Naturally, she didn't know that after they left the family hua, Luo Baoging and Song Linghua were invited into Grandpa Li and Grandma Li's car. The two juniors who had accompanied them were chased to another car. Old Luo, what did you tell Miss Su about Jihong's production team? Why did I see that you guys didn't look too good at the time? Luo Baoging glanced at his old friend. After thinking for a while he said, actually it's not a big deal. Little Su was engaged to family hua before she got married. You guys should have heard about this, right? I know about this. Grandma Li immediately took over the conversation. Not many people knew about the engagement between Su Yiyan and Hua Xiaofeng. However, after the engagement was called off, it caused such a huge commotion. It even involved the cliché plot of a mistress getting married. As a result, their verbal engagement became the laughingstock of many people in high society. Chapter 1049. Not only that, But Su Yiyan had married Hua Xiaofeng's uncle at lightning speed, which had shocked many onlookers. His ex-fiancée had suddenly become his aunt. Perhaps only the person involved would know how bitter it felt. Many people did not dare to talk about it openly, but behind their backs, they shared it as a joke with their friends. Grandma Li had heard about it from an old friend of hers. Mother Li also knew about it. When she heard Luo Baoging suddenly mention it, her heart could not help but skip a beat. Uncle Luo, why did you suddenly mention this? Could it be that the incident with Ji Hong's production team has something to do with this? As soon as she said this, the few people in the car all focused their attention on Luo Baoging. There is indeed something to do with it. There is an actress in his drama, the one that her fiancé found. Mistress? Yes. The Li family's faces changed slightly. How could it be so coincidental? Isn't it just so coincidental? Moreover, after that girl joined the production team, she caused some trouble. What happened? She got involved with a married male actor in the production team. The Li family's members looked at each other and frowned at the same time. If the Li family wanted to know about this, they would naturally investigate it. Luo Baoging did not dwell on this topic. As a friend, he kindly reminded them. This girl seems to especially like to pester rich and powerful men who can help her work. Previously, we did not know that Ji Hong was in the same production team as her. Now that we know, you should take care of the child. Don't let the child take the wrong path and be deceived. Luo Baoging's words were very straightforward. He was a master who liked to hook up with potential stocks everywhere. He did not need to say how outstanding the Li family was. Perhaps they had already been targeted. The elders of the Li family were all shrewd people. This was not the first time something like this had happened. Within Ji Hong's background, he had the looks, the connections and the family background. Not to mention in the entertainment industry, even in those rich and powerful circles, he would be in high demand. Since his debut, there had been a lot of girls who had designs on him. It was just that these people simply couldn't enter his eyes. The Li family believed in their junior's self-control, and didn't think that Ji Hong would be bewitched by such a girl. But now, the person who reminded them was Luo Baoging, and this matter involved Su Yiyan, who was helping Li Nam with his treatment. They had no choice but to take it seriously. It was actually very easy to find out about Ji Hong's situation on set. Ji Hong had an assistant who followed him around 24/7. There was probably no one who knew more about Ji Hong's situation than him. However, before contacting the assistant, the Li family and the Yin family, who had received the news indirectly, contacted Ji Hong's manager first. Coincidentally, Ji Hong's manager had been busy with another artist under his management. He knew that no one in the industry dared to provoke Ji Hong. He wasn't someone who liked to cause trouble, so he didn't ask much after he sent Ji Hong to the set. He had always been very confident in Ji Hong. Not long ago, Ji Hong's assistant felt that Ji Hong's condition was not right. Only then did he muster up the courage to contact Ji Hong's manager and explain Ji Hong's strange behavior during this period of time. Chapter 1050. Ji Hong's manager didn't think much of it at first, until he heard the second half. After the scandal between Wen Jingping and Ding Jueisi, not only did Ji Hong get closer to her, he even planned to act as a middleman to help Wen Jingping connect with other big shots. The reason why the Yin family chose this manager was that he was quick-witted and quick-witted. He knew how to judge the situation. Hearing his assistant say this, he broke out in cold sweat. Not to mention whether Ji Hong was really possessed or not. This matter was definitely related to him. The Yin family's upbringing was famous for being strict. The children they raised were all upright and couldn't tolerate anything. Ji Hong wasn't possessed, but he suddenly had feelings for a spoiled girl. As his manager, he didn't realize it after so long. It was a dereliction of duty. Ji Hong was possessed and was charmed by such a girl. As his manager, he was kept in the dark and couldn't guard against it. It was also a dereliction of duty. Just as the manager was having a headache and didn't know how to deal with this matter, the Yin family called before he could think of a solution. Mr. Yin? The manager picked up the phone guiltily. He didn't have much confidence. The Yin family didn't waste time with him and directly stated their purpose. The manager's heart trembled, and he almost threw his phone away in shock. After spending a few seconds to figure out that this matter couldn't be hidden anymore, the manager gritted his teeth and told the Yin family all the things that his assistant reported. When the Yin family heard that their youngest son was not only close to a spoiled vixen, but he was also infatuated with this vixen, and wanted to use their family's connections to help her get connections and find resources, it was incredible. Yin Jihong's father, the current head of the Yin family, Yin Huifeng, first scolded Yin Jihong's manager. Then he carefully asked about Wen Jingping's situation on the set. He found out that this woman was just a female lead, and that the scenes related to her had long been finished. Logically speaking, she should have been kicked out of the set a long time ago after causing such a scandal with the male actor in the same set. However, the truth was that Wen Jingping had shamelessly stayed behind in the name of an exchange study. Moreover, Yin Jihong had helped her with this. When Father Yin heard about this, he was so angry that he almost fainted on the spot. As soon as he hung up the phone, he rushed to Yin Jihong's workplace and took his stupid son away. It was rare for him to severely reprimand him. He also ordered Yin Jihong to immediately break off his relationship with Wen Jingping and never meet this woman again. This was the first time Yin Jihong's father had scolded his child. And it was also the first time Yin Jihong had been scolded. Mr. Yin originally thought that his scolding would wake his son up, but he didn't expect his son, who had always been well-behaved and obedient, to talk back to him after hearing a few words. He even had a big fight with him. When Su Yiyan found out about this, Yin Jihong had already been locked up by the Yin family. It was said that because of him, the Yin family had secretly found a few masters to exorcise him. They felt that his soul had been seduced by a vixen and he had been possessed. After Su Yiyan asked someone to inquire about the whole story, he was both embarrassed and puzzled. Was Yin Jihong so wild at home? When they met previously, Su Yiyan could feel the other party's coldness towards him, as well as his occasional absent-mindedness. However, there wasn't much of a conflict in the end. He originally thought that he would be a calm and patient guy, but he didn't expect, as if reading Su Yiyan's mind, the system took the initiative to go online and clear up Su Yiyan's worries and doubts. Yin Jihong didn't have a conflict with the host previously because the host was there. Chapter 1051. Su Yiyan was stunned for a few seconds before she realized what it meant. She frowned and said, "Are you saying that he's calmer because I'm around and didn't get into a conflict with anyone?" "You can say that." "No, what does this have to do with me?" Could it be that she was a tool to keep Yin Jihong awake? Yin Jihong's abnormality originated from the world's female lead. The host has stolen the halo of the world's female lead. Yin Jihong's influence will be suppressed in front of the host, and he will gain temporary lucidity. I see. No wonder Yin Jihong's behavior was so strange that day. She could faintly feel his hostility towards her, but he seemed to be very restrained. He would also be in a trance from time to time. In addition, the skill item used by the world's female lead is not of a high level. She needs to be in contact with the target for a long time and strengthen it again and again to make him have a better impression of her. Su Yiyan narrowed her eyes and immediately grasped the main point of the system's words. In other words, the effect of her item is not permanent, and it's not even long-term. As long as Yin Jihong is not in contact with her for a short period of time, he will return to normal and no longer be affected by the item? Logically speaking, that's the case. That's interesting. Su Yiyan's lips curled up slightly, and a trace of interest flashed through her eyes. Xia Junxing had mentioned to her before that Yin Jihong's initial attitude towards Wen Jingping was not good, and Wen Jingping had created such a big scandal with the male actor in the crew during filming. If it was Yin Jihong's original temperament, he should have hated her. He should have avoided her like the plague, and despised her even if he looked at her more than once. However, under inexplicable circumstances, he actually had a good impression of her, and even did a lot of stupid things for her that were enough to make him ashamed to death. When Yin Jihong completely sobered up and recalled these things, she wondered if he would be angry and take his anger out on Wen Jingping, the main culprit. If that was the case, there would be a good show to watch. As Su Yiyan expected, In Ji-hong was quite unconvinced when he was first locked up. Mrs. Yin knew about what had happened to Wen Jingping. Although she didn't agree with what her son had done, her heart softened when she saw that the father and son had quarreled so fiercely. She took the initiative to go to her son's room. She wanted to be the peacemaker and persuade her son to mend his ways and stop being angry with his father. In the end, it would have been better if Wen Jingping had not been mentioned. The moment she did, In Ji-hong instantly lost control of his emotions. After having a conflict with his father, he had a conflict with his mother. Father In was already angry because of his son's late rebellion. When he found out that his son had actually yelled at his wife, he was even angrier. If it weren't for Mama In stopping her, she would have rolled up her sleeves and engaged in domestic violence. Because of this small episode, In Ji-hong's imprisonment was naturally extended indefinitely. However, he didn't sit still and wait for his death. Ever since the day he had a conflict with his parents, he had been on a hunger strike. When Papa In found out about this, he got even angrier. He hadn't even done anything to him yet, but he was already on a hunger strike. Did this little brat feel wronged? If you want to go on a hunger strike, then so be it. Let's see who can outlast the other. It had to be said that the temperaments of the father and son were very similar. They were equally stubborn, and neither was willing to give in first. Only Mama In suffered. On one hand, she felt sorry for her son, but on the other hand, she knew that her husband wasn't wrong. She was in a dilemma and secretly cried countless times. Fortunately, this situation didn't last too long. On the third day after being locked up, In Ji-hong suddenly seemed to have been enlightened and stopped his hunger strike. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.